Welcome to Mr. V Teaching Math. In this session, I'm going to be talking about compasses and how to get a decent one and how not to get a bad one. I'm going to start with probably the worst type. There's only one model that I've seen that's worse than this kind. There's a couple key weaknesses. This joint is a key problem. There's nothing preventing the arms of the compass from swinging open. Some of them will come with a small wrench or screwdriver that they can use to tighten it, but that only provides a temporary solution. And if you have a young student trying to use this, you run into a number of problems. There's two key areas of weakness. One is here. This is the biggest one. Allow me to demonstrate. The first thing we have to do is you have a student who's actually going to have the pencil line up with the tip. This joint does not always hold, and it will pop. In fact, I'll do it right now. If I turn hard enough, this thing pops and it's loose again. The second problem, this is by far the biggest problem. This you can find a way to deal with. You can wrap paper around the pencil. There's a number of things you can do to make this work. You can just tape the pencil in. This problem is much harder. If you take this and you try to draw yourself a circle, the problem is that as you push, you see two problems happening. One, your pencil pops out. Two, the arm starts to slide. Let me just see if I can demonstrate the sliding arm a little better. If I put this here and I push, notice that my circle becomes an oval. This joint is weak. You may as well not even buy this thing. It's a waste of money and a waste of time. Let me show you some other models that are also a waste of time. There's a number of plastic ones made like this. They're so loose that they are completely useless. Again, don't spend any money on these. This comes from a rather well-made brand company. I don't even know if you can read it, but it's a good brand. Unfortunately, the design is weak. You'll notice it's a little bit harder to move, it's a little bit stronger, but once these screws become loose, again, it's not going to work well. This design is better for holding the pencil with this turning clasp here. It's better, and it actually works fairly well. This part isn't a problem, but this joint here is. Although I do find any of the ones that require you to put a pencil in here, it does make it a little bit harder for students to make use of. But with this joint the way it is, again, even though this is made by a good company, I don't think that this is worth the money. Same company, a slight improvement. In this case, you'll notice there's no pencil, but there's a piece of lead. This allows you to ensure that your two ends are at the same distance, and it works quite well. Again though, this joint, two screws, far too loose. Now, I'm not encouraging you to go out and spend a fortune buying a compass, which, in some cases, if you have a young student who's particularly abusive of their tools, might only last a year. In fact, in my classroom at the beginning of the school year, I collect all the compasses on the first day of school, put them in a box, and store them away until we actually use them. If I didn't, there wouldn't be compasses for half of the students, because they would destroy them. Here is a cheap and effective solution. Let me show you the best cheap compass I have found to date. This design. Up here, in order to open it, you have to turn this to loosen it, so it does not open easily. Cheap and simple. Here we have a fairly effective clasp. There are a couple weaknesses with this. This point has a tendency to squish inside, or if you have young people who like to fiddle with their tools, this will come out and be lost. On occasion, this unit can also come out, but for your money, this is an effective, cheap, and functional tool. It will do the job that you need it to do. There are a number of different product lines that release it. Here's one example. It comes in this kind of container. Here's another example. It comes in this kind of container. And there are many others like that. The key thing is you want one of these which has a method of locking these two arms so it cannot open on its own. Now, there are a number of options that can go even farther than this. and they have become increasingly inexpensive over the years. Here's an example of a set that was recently on sale near where I live. Here we have an excellent design. It is of a cheaper make, but notice there's a system here that prevents these from moving, and this piece here allows for simple and accurate changing of the size. And again, in this case, you will notice there's no pencil to include. All you do is have to replace one of these pointers with the lead that is provided here in this container. Over here, I believe. There are a number of lead items up here. Now, of course, you could go for the cat's meow, the best of the best, but quite frankly, at the level that I teach, students that are typically between the age of 11 and 13, this is not necessary. But if you have a student who's really good at caring for their tools, who's not going to lose it, who's not going to break it, and might be able to use it for their entire lifetime, here's an example of what my mom bought me when I was in school. Again, produced by one of the name brand companies that produces excellent tools. It's taken a little bit of damage. I've lost one little piece here. But essentially, this thing is intact and very solid and durable. If you have a student who's going to take care of it and is actually going to make use of it over a long period of time, this might be worth investing in. Art students, students who might choose to go into an older style of drafting that doesn't involve computers, this would be a worthwhile investment in that case. Again, though, I am not encouraging you to spend a lot of money. It is possible to go to a dollar store and purchase these for $1 or $2. And these are worth the investment. Your student will be able to do the work and do it well. Don't waste your time on anything less.